Hey you guys, so we're gonna do a recipe. I'm gonna make some kabsa rice for everybody. It's very authentic, very delicious, and I'm cooking for my man. So let's get started. First of all, we're gonna need some rice. So put the rice in the pan. I forgot to thaw the chicken, but that's probably fine. Couple cinnamon sticks and just a touch of salt to taste.
What are you doing?
I am cooking for my boyfriend husband. Authentic, delicious. Whatever. That's not working. Hey, it's Chantal again. Can I order barbecue for 12? You like short hair? I can have short hair. You like blondes? I can be blonde. Hyper. You're gonna get it. Eurobees and shit. Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark.
Hey everybody!
And this is Smokey, Steve, and Mark. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Saturday. It is the weekend, so we're having coffee after dark, which is, we'll see if I sleep. So I hope everyone's well, hope everyone's safe. Look after yourselves, look after each other. Today we're going to discuss our fair lady, Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, The Daily Chantal, Chantopolis, The Chantal Show, Chantal and Sala, and Foodie Beauty again. So last week when we had checked in, I was very put off, actually, last week by a lot of the content that was done. There was discussion last week about isms. We talked about Zachary Michael's limp wrist, a la Sala, talking about other creators, their size, their weight, their looks, all that stuff. And then the hypocrisy people pointed out that Chantal, you're not that attractive to be calling everyone else ugly. You're in the same boat with the rest of us. So, touched on that. And this week we're going to go into what appears to be mukbangs again. So she did a few this week, even like a fast food one as well, maybe two. Which is interesting how Sala is like on board with that, since he was going to whip her into shape, figuratively and probably literally. So, we'll discuss this week. She cooked a little, as we saw in the intro. The modest mukbangs. Are mukbangs modest? Exactly. A little sidebar about filtered photos. Heading back to Canada. Is she going back to Canada? She said something that could feel conflicting depending on how you want to gaslight people. And then the idea that eating fresh food is somehow healthier even if you eat 4 times as much. So, we'll start with the rice that I just made. So, she's in Kuwait, and they're in their new place, not the room anymore, I guess, and wanted to show off the new kitchen. Well, maybe the new kitchen, but not the new place. Anyway, it's a like countertop, 2-burner gas hot plate, essentially. And there was like a crock pot. No, there was a rice cooker next to it because she was cooking, rice and then stuff in the pan. So it didn't look particularly good. She kind of looked like she didn't know exactly what she was doing. And I'm curious if Sala now thinks that maybe she spun some wool about her abilities as a modest housewife. Modest foodie beauty. So yeah, and you saw frozen chicken. She didn't have it. She actually left hers out, even though it's chicken kasba. It became kasba rice because there was not all the ingredients, and she didn't think to thaw that. So, I don't know. So as we go forward with the kasba rice, mine is chicken because the chicken was frozen. She didn't use hers. She's trying to show off, I think, her wifey skills. Like I said, for her betrothed, that she can do her wifely duties of cooking, cleaning. He must do the cleaning because she can junk up a place really, really quickly. Granted, I think he probably throws his trash in the trash, and you can only hoard so much in a space that was that small, especially when it's being taken up by a couple people as well. So, why are we eating so much? Why are we eating so much? When it started, Sala was going to whip her into shape. She was going to be, walking and I don't know, walking camels and whatever the hell she was going to do. She was going to lose some weight. And Sala let us know with his The Rock eyebrow, which is getting real old. Whenever he does that, it makes me think that, like, he's joking and mocking whatever she's taking seriously. Like, she has what looks like a genuine smile in some of their pictures. And he looks like he's out shopping with his aunt. Chantal, for all her ageism, is now getting a little bit of it back in her face because people are commenting, trolling, possibly real, that it's such a nice thing to watch this guy out with his aunt or mom while they're hanging around. Just saying. I mean, the chemistry to me doesn't look like it's there. And I also kind of think with her not being able to do other content or choosing not to, or not doing it not to ruffle feathers with him because you know how he gets, so she isn't doing the screaming as much, though this week we got some of that back. She wasn't doing the trolling as much. She'll explode, apologize, which of course means it never happened and she's not accountable for anything she said while she did it. That's kind of classic Chantal. She's like, oh, I apologized. It means you still did whatever the shitty thing was or whatever lie was told. You're not owed forgiveness just because you apologize. I only know that from, like, my decades of debauchery with drinking, drugs, bipolar, and all that other fun stuff. People get sick of it. People go away. They don't want to be around. And you start having to, I don't know, buy and manipulate company because you're so unpleasant to be around. No one wants to deal with it. But you can always have an online community, apparently. You have some VIBs, minus the big three that are now on Pete's channel at the moment. And all over that. So then we get a community post. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. With a little symbol pointing to the three that used to be her friends. So, we'll talk in a second about that. So, the mukbangs. How is she doing mukbangs again? How did that happen? Well, I suspect, though I don't know, that the money has run dry. Her views are down. She knows her views are down. She's pulling income, maybe, from 2 channels, but their couple's channel isn't nearly the size. I think, is it in the high 9s, low 11,000, something in there? Probably lower. And, they're drawing an income, I guess, off of that, but also off of her, she doesn't have as much coming in. She's only worth as much as she's worth, as far as Sala, I believe. If he could have found a different woman with the same amount of money. I don't know. But it also begs the question. She's a large woman, and mukbangs are videos, at least when she does them, where a large amount of food is being eaten. And it's mostly voyeuristic spectacle. She might talk about the quality of the food here or there, but she does the little things that gets the feeders hot. Lick the fingers, all 4 of them, like that, if she's eating ribs or wings or whatever. Chewing with her mouth open, doing the kind of things that a lot of us who aren't feeders kind of go, And no, it's not kink shaming. It's fucking weird, okay? Anyway, so is she making the content for them? And why would she? Well, if she needs the money and she can't go back to high lives, which I believe she made probably one of the times in her YouTube career where she made the most money was during the live arc. And, the money came coming as the Beezers were joining and as they were supporting her. And, oh my God, she's had such a hard life that she tells us we would kill for because we're jealous. What? You hate your life. Why would I want it? Yeah. So, mukbangs are only slightly more effort than the high streams where we were watching that. I mean, essentially she just has to sit down and eat. And that's the entire video. There's some component to it that's like showing off international foods and things she hasn't had. Maybe that's interesting to some people. But by and large, I think it's to recapture a certain audience that disappeared for a while because we used to have boundaries on not doing mukbangs anymore either. And yet here we are. So does Sala approve of said mukbangs? I'm going to go with maybe not, but I think she might have put the boot down and said, look, kid, this is how I make my money. You want to eat well? You want to get out of Kuwait? Put up with it, okay? So I guess he did. It's enough for him to have other people watch his wife. And being feeder has an erotic sexual component. First, I've done some research, just a little. It's hard to find out what's in a feeder's head. I haven't met any personally. But maybe he likes her larger, even though he was going to whip her into shape. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he likes that she wears like a too tight garment that hugs everything, like black sausage casing. When she was sitting down eating the barbecue platter, it was very much that kind of thing, where she was like all bulbous all over the place. Is that fat shaming? No. But I think I'm just interpreting the version of sexy that she's trying to put off for the men she's trying to get to watch. So he's apparently okay with his wife, girlfriend, eating on camera with the intention of turning on other men who will pay her for it, and he'll hold the camera so she does it. So I do think Chantal finally said, look, this is how I make my money. If you want money, I got to do this. So you're here or you're not. Because Chantal is ultimately about number one. And if you get in the way of her and her money, with Natter, she didn't know any better. She just threw her money away and kept believing that the more she gave him, the closer he would be. Because her big backup point with everyone is that she thinks she could buy and sell them. Well, she couldn't really buy Natter for very long because someone else came in with no money and no resources, and he just liked them better, and left. And Chantal's convinced herself that, like, she came out the winner in the whole situation. Who had to move around the world to find someone who could stand her only through the exchange of money? So, mukbangs are also an excuse to eat out. It's a reason to go for some fast food or whatever. Chantal said there's a lot of American restaurants in Kuwait, and that those are things she hadn't tried because she's a Canadian, and that she had to do. Now, I can understand the novelty of going to, like, a Burger King in Kuwait, because I'm an American, so it's interesting to see things that are familiar to you in other places, see how they may be similar and see how they may be different. So I don't think that's, like, the dumbest thing in the world, but being immersed in an entirely new culture with new things to learn all the time, new foods to try, new hobbies to try, different living arrangements to try out, things like that. So she was up for the risk when she went to Kuwait, and now she seems like she's kind of hanging out, but on principle, there is no way in hell she would ever say, made a mistake, I'm unhappy, I was desperate and lonely, and that's what I did. So I'm moving back to Canada? Not moving back to Canada? When did she say she was moving back to Canada? There was a community post that said, I'm not going back to Canada and my high streams and my old life. That was from her. And they were all together. To Canada, live streams, old shit, whatever. So when people had asked in the comments section, well, you're not coming back to Canada? Because you're never coming back to Canada. That might have confused people. She said that it was, again, we all misunderstood it. She didn't make any mistakes. 90,000 people did. That we took it wrong. That she said, where did I say I wasn't going back to Canada? Her spin on it was that she meant my old life. I'm not going back to that old way of life. Like hell, she's not. She's not happy unless she's artificially happy. So we're talking about getting herself high with food, getting herself high with drugs, getting herself high with control, getting it with playing the game of seducing men and, feeling like good about herself, because if someone will sleep with me or let me buy them everything, they must like me. When people like you, you don't have to do shit like that. If you're going to build a relationship, I can see that point. But she married someone who she knew for a very small amount of time. So you reap what you sow. There's not going to be room for a lot of people 9 months down the road, if and when this whole thing ends, who are going to say, we told you. Like, of course it wasn't going to go well. You missed all the red flags after lamenting missing all the red flags with Natter. So if those things are happening now and she's just playing Natter round 2 with him, so be it. I suspect that I don't mind Sala as much as Natter. Natter was out and out, self-centered, rude. Never trust a guy like Natter when he tells you he knows how to do something, because then you end up with chicken soup with fava beans in it. So, and I was surprised this week with the mukbangs that they actually did have some takeout. So, she's gonna probably spin the mukbangs too as a eat with me. I'd eat with you. Sure, we're not eating. We're watching you eat, and your husband's filming you eat, which was curious. If this was just your guys' dinner, why not set up the tripod and have the two of you eat? Maybe he already had dinner and this was just a little dessert or a bedtime snack for her. Are mukbangs modest? I guess modest enough for Sala, as long as it helps keep the money coming in. And again, exciting men for money and eating like a glutton. It's all very modest and very moral too. And no one wants her opinion on Kuwaiti barbecue. It's just a reason to eat out, and that's okay. You can say you're doing it for us. We'll take the hit, so Sala will lay off you. But we all have a choice to make any kind of content we want, and choosing one that's going to get some backlash is that. Oh well, Chantal acts like she's the only person who gets called out for like dishonesty, changing her mind in such a way that it hurts people for whatever plan she was making that she's now canceled. She didn't cancel. She changed her mind. I didn't lie. I changed my mind. Okay. All right. That sounds about as believable as anything else that she's said. So, I don't know. So bottom line, I think with Sala and the mukbang things, either he doesn't care, and why he doesn't care is because it's a source of income. Otherwise, I don't think. I mean, she had to paint her nails a neutral color, but she can go fist deep into a kebab. And apparently that is okay. He may be a feeder himself. A greedy little feeder of his own. Maybe he is. Not every guy that dates a woman of size is a feeder or has a fat fetish. There's a separation of things that kind of happens there. Bandit just got out of the cat tree. The background's here, I'm sorry. If he gets off on it himself, then yeah, I guess he wouldn't mind taking her out and watching her eat. It's not about eating with her. The voyeurism is the point. Watching her eat is the thing. Chewing with the mouth open, all those cues. You get a cheese pull. She actually said they were out of mozzarella sticks. Well, yeah, that cheese pull is like a quick hand job in the feeder world. So, sidebar. Filtered photos, as long as we're talking about appearance. Why would a person who it looks 90% better than the rest of us need to alter their appearance to be on camera? Why would someone who's totally unashamed of their size reduce their size on camera? The truth and a lie are not the same thing, and they don't have to be spoken. They can be visual. When I see a picture of something and it looks very different when I was a fat fisher too. Bottom line, I fat fished too. I was chubby in my early 20s, so I used my high school yearbook photo as my profile pic on all the old hookup apps. They didn't even have apps. They had applications. There was like gay.com. How long ago was that you could buy the domain gay.com? And a couple other ones that were like that. And part of that is misleading or hoping to mislead the person that I'm going to be having an encounter with, because I feel I don't look good enough on my own. Now, there is a difference between putting on makeup and digitally altering your facial structure. Okay, so it's not tantamount to dyeing your hair or doing your nails and saying they aren't real. It's very different. If I threw a filter on that made me look 15 years younger, that might make me feel good. If I never look in an actual mirror and I do all my makeup and grooming in a filtered lens, so I never really have to see what I look like. And I can appreciate, maybe deep down Chantal doesn't want to know what she looks like. Maybe she'd rather not think of it. I've known super morbidly obese people who've then lost weight, but who have said during their time they didn't want to be seen. They walked past all the mirrors. They didn't want to deal with the reality. And if she's in a similar position, now I'm assuming she has enough feelings to even have this kind of thing going on. Okay, we don't know. Sociopaths don't usually. So if that's the case, she doesn't give a shit. But otherwise, I don't know. If she really liked the way she looked, why would she change it to try to impress people? If it doesn't matter. It's lazier than makeup, I'll say that. It's less work, and it's free, I suppose. We played with filters before. I think I used one in an intro. I was like a seal. I was all smooth, all the way back. My eyes looked like a little bigger, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. I looked like marginally cartoon character, like kind of like Max Headroom, but without hair. It was sort of like that. So, no, dear, the filtering of the photos, I don't know. It's, do you. if authentic beauty is just that, and then go with it. Go with it. But wouldn't it be nice to find a guy who actually, if you have no internalized fat shame, why make yourself smaller? So all the fat shame that she points out in other people, it's her. She digitally alters her photo so that she looks thinner and younger. To impress who? To what end? You know, I don't know. So also, let's talk about, how can I put this diplomatically? Eating fresh food. Now, Chantal's catch-all for a lot of the things that she eats is that I'm eating fresh food. It's so healthy. Now, when she was with Nader, she was eating fresh food. When she was with Sala, she was eating fresh food. She considers fresh food anything not through the drive-thru. So even if you bought it at the supermarket and it's a grab and go, she'll consider it fresh food. And she'll talk about how good it is for you. When she's trying to get superior, she switches from first to second person. So she's like, you know, oh, I love grilled this. I love grilled that. And then when you eat this, this is how you're supposed to eat it. This is what this means and this is what that means. So this is how you're supposed. She switches into another language. Not another language, another person, to try to distract from the fact that it sounds like now, because she discovered that grilled food is light but filling, that she's going to drop knowledge on the masses like we don't already know. Eating it 1 or 2 times a week probably isn't making a dent. I'm not a health guru, and any little bit of good is probably better than nothing to try to move the needle. But just because someone made it on a hot plate and it wasn't pulled out of a fryer at McDonald's doesn't necessarily mean it's any better for you. It just means that it's not deep fried. All this fresh food, we'll see. We won't even need filters after a few months. We won't even need them because she will drop that weight. Unless Sala wants her to make mukbangs to make money, in which case the whole marriage is a sham. So. Alright, so what have we wrought? Where did we get with all this? Well, I think she's going to keep eating because it's one of her old behaviors that Sala seems to be okay with. There must be others that she would propose that he didn't, but I think, like I said, I believe she probably laid into him and said, look, I'm the moneymaker, and this is how I make my money. So you can either go along with this or adios, Canadian citizenship. Assuming that might be what part of the deal is. If there is a deal, you know, I'm just saying, I'm just talking, I'm just saying, you know, so, currently this afternoon, she was live having steak and cheese fries, eating them with a fork to be dainty, and talking about how good they are. And it's, you know, so many people would have, you know, moving abroad is a life-changing experience, even if it's only for a short period of time. And the friends I've had who've been to Europe and Asia and other places have said that they really get something out of it. You really look at the world a little bit differently, and it reflects in behavior. You know, the world doesn't seem so small once you get out and, I guess, see a lot of it. And so going forward, it'll be more mukbangs in the new apartment. Maybe a little more cooking. I'd rather see what's-his-name cook, unless his mama always did his cooking, because he just moved out of the house. So it's possible he doesn't know how to cook. Nader was more than happy to show how to do. It's strange. There's different dynamics in different places where, like, I have a girl I work with whose family is French, and the men are the ones in the kitchen on the holidays. They shoo the women out because they're in the way of doing man's work. And then that kind of thing can be relegated to just a domestic chore handed to women in a lot of other, you know, Western places that are a little misogynist. So going forward, more weight gain, more mukbangs, more filters, more videos of just her eating without Sala in them, because I think he's kind of a for the feeders. They just assume him not be in the video and watch her. So her current live with the steak fries. She seems happy, and the comments seem highly moderated. That's all I can say for now. If there's any updates, I'll drop one in the description if this comes up before that goes out. So thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the notification bell. You get alerts when we have new videos and go live. You can follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc. Send a friend request. SmokeySteveAndMarc on Instagram. Our email and contact info, all that's below as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. We go live at 6 p.m. Eastern. So bring something to drink, settle in. We have a nice crew. We have good mods. It's usually very, very chill. And it's open topic. So whatever comes up, we just chat about. All right. So thanks for watching. Bye. Say bye, Mark.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You like short hair? I can have short hair.